Sarah, give me a sense of your experience of politics. You've been in the House as an MP for a number of terms, now in the Senate, and the Victorian Liberal Party, a federal Liberal Party, environment in Canberra. How does it match up to the experience that Julia Banks claims she had?
Well, Peta, good evening. And I have to say, it really doesn't accord with my experience at all. Look, there is no doubt that politics is a tough business, and sometimes difficult decisions need to be made, tough discussions need to be had. But even during that very difficult time, during the leadership challenge, I found that everyone treated me with absolute respect and dignity. And of course, I think it was very disappointing, the decision that Julia made. Many Liberals were disappointed, from the Prime Minister's office all the way through to local branches in the party. But look, that just hasn't been my experience. I mean, the Prime Minister has been a magnificent leader of us, of men and women MPs. He has been a magnificent leader for Australian women in terms of all the things that we have done. And I have to say, I find these comments pretty disappointing.
Yeah, look, I'm surprised she's waited a number of years to put them in a book, and she's clearly trying to sell a book. You put the sort of the razzle-dazzle up the front. But as a Member of Parliament, of course, you're not subject to defamation laws. If you get up in the chamber, you can raise any allegation you like. It's very different here on Sky News or out in the community. So if all of these things happened and she was in the Parliament when they happened right through to the very end, are you surprised she didn't raise them in the chamber or take them to the media at the time of departure? Why save them up for now?
Look, I'm really not sure, Peter. I know Julia has now got a book to sell, and maybe that's one of the reasons. But I have to say, I just reflect on my sense of disappointment, and also as a female senator and a member of the Liberal Party, I've been incredibly proud of so much of how our government has stood by women. And, you know, as I say, I think there is a bit of a sense of disappointment. I'm not sure really what Julia's agenda is. I mean, I know there was a great deal of disappointment when she decided not to recontest the election, and she got a great deal of support. And I just think perhaps that the Labor Party has really used Julia. She made a very disappointing decision to turn her back on the people of Chisholm, and, of course, to contest the seat of Flinders. I mean, obviously, Greg Hunt is a magnificent local member. He did extremely well in the election. He's been an absolute warrior for his electorate. And I really do think that the Labor Party was using Julia in a way that really did backfire. And I say shame on the Labor Party. And perhaps, Peter, it's because I think Anthony Albanese is struggling both with men and women in this country. They don't have faith in him.
Yeah, I'll get to that,
Anthony's...
I'll get to that. I'll get to that just before I do, though. Do you think Julia Banks, do you think this is part of a plan for her to run again?
Look, I'm really not sure about that. I haven't got any insight. I mean, I was friendly with Julia in the Parliament, but when she made her decision to resign and to go to the crossbench, she really didn't want to speak to any of us any further. So obviously that was disappointing. I really don't know what her intentions are, but I certainly know that Australians expect its government to stand up for them. And at a time when we are fighting so hard to protect the health and the economic recovery of all Australians, there's nothing worse than people talking about themselves. So our focus, and I know the Prime Minister's focus, is very much on standing up for Australians and governing in their interest. And when we have these fractures... It's gone.
When we have these fractious debates, I'm sure you're going to say they don't help us. Interestingly, it timed to coincide with a poll in the Fairfax, with 9 newspapers they call them now, showing a 4-point drop in the Coalition's support with female voters since the last election. Now, that was the headline, bad news for Scott Morrison, women's problem, all of that sort of stuff. But if you drill into the numbers a little bit deeper, the same poll shows that the PM leads Anthony Albanese by 23 points in the preferred PM stakes with women. Now, the left are trying to obviously get up a narrative here that the Coalition's got an anti-woman bias and all that sort of stuff. But if you look at the head-to-head on the PM versus Albanese, it's a 23-point difference, and it's into the negative for Anthony Albanese. That's not being spoken about much, is it?
No, and that's disappointing that we didn't see that in the headlines today, because the facts are based on that poll that Anthony Albanese has a -12 disapproval rating for men, and a -14 disapproval rating for women, and that's obviously hugely below the Prime Minister, who's very much in positive territory. So the Labor Party knows it has a real problem with women, and when it comes to Anthony Albanese, I mean, of course, we've seen the terrible situation with the Tasmanian opposition leader, who's now out of his job after 20 days because of sexual harassment allegations that have been made against him. We've seen Labor in Victoria pre-select a man for the new seat of Hawke, and Labor women in Victoria are very upset. So, you know, while they do a lot of politicking, the facts tell a very, very different story. And of course, there's still the hugely significant allegations made by Emma Husar in Western Sydney, who really has called out the Labor Party for some disgusting treatment. This is only, of course, a few seats away from Anthony Albanese, and Labor women and men have been absolutely silent over the treatment of Emma Husar, which I have to say, Peter, is absolutely disgusting. So the bottom line is that Labor knows it has a big problem with women when it comes to the way that Anthony Albanese is tracking, and you know, I'm calling out this politicking.
Well, I'm pleased to see that there's a fight back on these issues from the Liberal Party. Good on you, Sarah Henderson. Thank you for your time.